Okay, good. Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Tahoe-Truckee Sunday morning live celebrations service in person here and on Zoom. And I'm Rev Pam Brandman, the senior minister here at the center. And we know that whoever you are and wherever you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. We know that there are many paths to God, but they all end in oneness and in love. Our center's purpose is love. Our vision is embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. We ask that we set our intentions today with a receptivity statement that you'll see on our screen. And if you would read along with me. I am here by divine appointment. Something I am about to hear applies to my life. I am open, receptive, and willing to explore the possibilities. Our musician today is Rod Loomis. And during his acting and singing career, Rod has performed in many Shakespeare theater productions, several national theater tours, and memorable TV roles. His many TV appearances included Star Trek: The Next Generation, Dynasty, Matt Houston, General Hospital, and The Young and the Restless. We are blessed that Rod became a religious science practitioner along the way. Now, I'm not sure how much that impacted the soap operas, but you will hear how his faith has inspired his music. So please help me welcome Rod Loomis.
Thank you, Reverend Pam. Thank you very, very much. I invite you, dear hearts, to open your heart and your consciousness, because this song is, think of it as a spiritual musical treatment. Change our hearts, oh God. Make them ever true. Change our hearts, oh God. May we be like new. Change our hearts, oh God. Make them ever true. Change our hearts, oh God. May we be like new. God is the potter. We are the clay. Mold us and lead us. This is what we pray. Change our hearts, oh God. Ooh, make them ever true. Change our hearts, oh God. May we be like you. God is a potter, and we are the clay. Mold us and lead us. This is what we pray. Change our hearts, oh God. Make them ever true. Change our hearts, may we be like you. May we be like you. Amen.
No, we're made in the image of God rather than God in the image of us. That's an important distinction to make. So our practitioner this morning is Carol Dalbon. And Carol is returning to walking the family dogs and wonderful exercise and mind-centering benefits of yoga classes now that she has a new knee. And Carol tells me that Aquasize is her next planned adventure. We look forward to seeing her in person again at our September Ananda retreat. So please help me welcome Carol this morning to provide the special reading and invocation.
Will help if I'm unmuted. Good morning, everyone. Today we continue with the August Center for Spiritual Living monthly theme, which is Living in Everyday Wonder, Nature. And Rev Pam's talk today is entitled The Furry, the Fuzzy, the Slimy, the Scaly, and Everyone Else. And so she has chosen a special reading from the Science and Mind magazine this month from the 7th. It's called To Be or Not to Be, with the 2 E's at the end of the second B. If one way be better than another, that you may be sure is nature's way, Aristotle. Within each one of us, an indestructible and eternal God-intended person, a perfect being, our perfect being. Ernest Holmes, Science and Mind, page 338. I was in our backyard getting ready for a visit from our grandchildren. As I readied their play area, I noticed a swarm of big yellow and black honeybees buzzing around the plants. I grew a little concerned, fearing they might sting the toddlers, so my mind went to how I might prevent it. That was the beginning of a deep rabbit hole. My initial concern spilled into a contemplation of bees. I thought, it's only natural the bees might think their job is to protect their hive. That led me to the idea they might think their purpose is to protect the hive and gather food for their colony. But the byproduct was most important, honey. I imagined them pollinating the fruits, flowers, plants, and all of life. Nature's spirit knows their purpose is to pollinate life. Nature is a mirror. What we believe we are producing and what others believe our purpose is pales in comparison to what we are here for. Once we understand that, we open ourselves to be truly productive and purposeful. The affirmation for the day at the bottom is, my very being produces good in untold ways, good that impacts people and places I don't even know. And so now to start this morning off with an opening prayer, knowing there is this one spirit, ever present, all-knowing, all-giving, intelligence, love, peace, understanding. It is the creator. It creates all nature and its beings, its population, its animals, its plants, its water, sky, its clouds, and its people. So I know that condition is always with us, that Spirit provides for us in every way possible, and that we are in unity with all this that nature is, that we honor it. We honor the trees and the earth and the birds and the bees and the animals, and in the mountains, the bears. They all came before us, and we know that they are sharing this earth, this beautiful planet with us. So I know that we go on being respectful of nature, the planet, and its occupants, including people, most of all. So knowing that this service is guided and directed in perfect order, and that everything we hear sparks something new in our lives. The music and the talk, everything. And great gratitude for this service today. Let these words go, knowing they are the truth for everybody. And so it is.
So it is.
And now I'd like to invite Rod Loomis back to sing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. A river running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Yeah. Feeling good. Dragonfly out in the sun, you know what I mean. Butterflies all having fun, you know what I mean. Oh, sleep in peace when day is done, that's what I mean. And this old world is a new world, and a bold world for me. Stars when you shine, yeah, you know how I feel. Scent of the pine, you know how I feel. Freedom is mine, I know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Feeling good, yeah, I'm feeling good. creatures great and small, we're all feeling good. Yeah, we're feeling good. Oh, Lordy.
Great and small, and it's a good day and a good week. And this week, as we explore the wonder of nature, let us consider all of those amazing creatures that live on this planet. You know, many of those we've never even seen or even heard of before. You know, just think of all the millions of insects that there are around the planet. So let's open our eyes and notice all those furry and fuzzy and slimy and scaly and feathery creatures with whom we share the planet. Yeah? One of the things that brings us joy and wonder is taking time to be still, you know, to be with nature, to be fully present in the moment, and to spend time playing and laughing with our four-legged friends. I think many of us have one at home, and we love to be with them. And you know, sometimes when they pass to the next world, it's sad, and then hopefully there's a new one. But it's that wonderful time that we spend with them, and because we just forget it, all of our cares, and we're just there with them, because they're all about love, right? And just being still. You know, when I was a child, and later again as a parent, I enjoyed family trips to the zoo. And there we saw the animals of the world. You know, and one of the things that Michael and I have on our bucket list is an African photo safari. So that's, you know, one, we want to see some of these animals up front in their home habitat. Maybe you liked to watch the scaly things, those amazingly variety of colors of fishes and turtles, and there's a stingray, all these other sea creatures that swim around in an aquarium or the ocean or the river or the lake. You know, scaly iguanas crawl across the ground, and they come in all different colors, and they can change that color depending on what the background is where they're at, right? Another thing at the zoo, we would rush to see the chimpanzees. They would be swinging from tree to tree and making lots of noise, maybe being still and grooming one another. And here's a mother chimpanzee carrying her baby chimp on her back. I remember when we'd see a flock of birds taking off into the sky, and it's so majestic. You know, it just takes your breath away in some ways, just to see them rising from the ground and taking off into the sky, right? I also remember one hot, slow summer day when I was a child, and the most exciting thing going on that day was I was sitting there watching this snail slowly making its way across the sidewalk, and it left a silvery trail behind it, and it took it 2 hours to go maybe about 2 feet. But that's what its time was, and it slowed me down to that time, and I'm sure I must have been meditating in the way that children meditate at that age. So what is our relationship to the animal kingdom? You know, many churches and ministries have long tried to decide what is the appropriate relationship between nature and the animal kingdom and us. You know, I'd like to provide a few examples that were provided by David Merritt Jones. And so Dennis told everyone that the Presbyterian Church called a meeting, and they want to decide what to do about their squirrel infestation. So after much prayer and consideration, they concluded that the squirrels were predestined to be there, and so they shouldn't interfere with God's divine will. All right? Sounds like a church, right? All right, so at the Baptist church, the squirrels had taken interest in the baptistry, right? So the deacons met, and they decided to put a water slide into their baptistry and let the squirrels drown themselves. Okay, so the squirrels liked the slide, and unfortunately they knew instinctively how to swim, and so twice as many squirrels showed up the next week. It was a great thing. Now the Lutheran Church decided that they were not in a position to harm any of God's creatures, so they humanely tramped their squirrels, and they set them free near the Baptist church. 2 weeks later, when the Baptist took out the slide, they were all back. Now, the Episcopalians tried a much more unique path by setting up pans of whiskey and around their church in an effort to kill the squirrels with alcohol poisoning. They sadly learned how much damage a band of drunk squirrels can do. But the Catholic Church came up with a much more creative strategy. They baptized all the squirrels and made them members of the church. Now they only see them at Christmas and Easter. Now, not much was heard from the Jewish synagogue. They took the first squirrel and circumcised him. They have not seen a squirrel since. Right? Now, Sharon Hudson commented that the Center for Spiritual Living had the most enlightened response. Right? Since we are inclusive, they taught the squirrels to meditate, and then they fit just right in. So more seriously, let's talk about the issue from two perspectives: anthropocentrism and oneness of all life. Now, anthropocentrism, when you can say that, is believed by some to be the central problem in our philosophy towards the environment and living creatures. According to dictionary.com, anthropocentrism is the tendency to view and interpret everything in terms of human experience, making it the only operative consideration in determining the moral or ethical value of a course of action. The evidence that the traditional Western attitudes are systematically biased against the non-human world is all around us, right? There's books such as The Confession of an Eco-Warrior by Dave Foreman. He's one of the people that created Earth First organization. Or Green Rage, written by Christopher Maines. These environmental activists identify anthropocentrism as the underlying reason for humanity's seeming need to dominate and develop most of the earth. Now, in the creation story in Genesis 1:26, it reads, "And God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness, and let them rule over the fish of the sea and over the birds of the air, over the livestock, over all the earth, and over all the creatures that move along the ground." Now, some people have taken that to mean that humans are superior to other species and that all the animals and plants exist for the sole benefit of mankind. Right? I believe there's a different interpretation. Let's look first at the statement that humans are made in the image and likeness of God. Now, that doesn't mean that God isn't made to look like us as a white man with a beard up in the heaven, right? Instead, it means that we are like God. We are co-creators with the divine. Right? Just like a king or queen rules over their kingdom, those leaders have the authority and responsibility to care for their people and not just their own interests. Right? And as co-creators, our human responsibility is to create a world that works for the animal and the plant kingdoms as well as for us. Our beliefs, our intentions, and our actions all matter. Now, when humans live as if we're superior to the animal kingdom, we make decisions that result in perhaps animal abuse that it can range from neglect to cruelty or just even malicious killing, right? Now, less immediately obvious is when we have human actions that lead to extinction of a whole species. We think, you're going to kill one bird, that won't be a problem, but when you kill all of the birds in a species, they're no more. And what is the purpose of that bird in the overall diversity of life, right? Human actions that might lead to this include clearing native habitat for urbanization. Now we're going to build a house, and another, and another, and another, right? Or a road, or what have you. Or when we clear a field and have a monoculture of one big field of corn or rice or whatever it is, we get rid of the natural habitat. That gets rid of the plants and the animals that rely on that wildlife habitat. When we use pesticides, right? overgrazing, overhunting, overfishing, all of them are problems. Now, according to the UN's 2019 Global Assessment Report on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, the rate of species extinctions is accelerating. Currently, more than 1 million animal and plant species are now threatened with extinction, many within decades. Right? Even if people maintain an anthropocentric point of view, it's still important for humans to alter how we treat the animal kingdom. You know, life on the planet, we are a part of that, and we share DNA with the animals. There is a whole lot of overlap between our DNA and different species of animals because we all evolved from a common evolutionary source at the physical level of expression. So what threatens the environment for the animals and the plants also threatens the environment and the survival for humans. In her 1962 book, Silent Spring, marine biologist Rachel Carson called out the environmental consequences in DDT and other pesticides and the other chemicals that are used in agriculture. You know, not only were the bird populations dying, but the chemicals were accumulating in the soil and in the water. Humans, she pointed out, were also potentially at risk for cancer. Carson argued that humans must find a way to peacefully and sustainably coexist with nature for their own survival. You know, this is where the anthropocentrism actually would have the same argument as protecting the plant and animal species. You know, Carson's book, Silent Spring, and a 1963 CBS TV special were very controversial. And she ran into a lot of problems in her work at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. But the alarm had been sounded, and she stuck with it. Eventually, DDT was banned, and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency was created to regulate air and water pollutants. She made a difference. She stood up for what she believed in. We have to remember that humans are linked with the rest of God's creation. Let's examine our beliefs, our misconceptions, and our biases so we can truly embrace oneness with all life, because that is the essence of who we are. So God is in everything, everyone and everything. Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, found much inspiration and wisdom through meditating on his connection with God and with nature. In his book, Cosmic Light, he reflected, "Very frequently, I sit down all alone for 2 hours and listen to the silence, and it speaks. I look into the darkness, and it turns light. It is there, and there is no question about it. God is warmth. Spirit is colorful. The universe is filled with light. A voice speaks from everything, running brooks, stones, trees, animals and moon and stars, deserts and stillness. And you can listen to the stillness until it speaks to you." You know, all of these experiences of listening to the stillness hold special meaning for us because they take us away from our busy world and they connect us with our inner world, the essence of life, the essence of who we are and all living creatures as part of the one life that is God. Now, as humans, we have the conscious awareness that allows us to reflect on who we are and the meaning of life. And this ability to reflect distinguishes us from the animal kingdom, or does it? You know, there's some people that believe that dolphins and some other species may share this level of conscious awareness with us. Even so, each and every creature is an expression of that one life manifesting here on the planet. Anatole France was a prolific French novelist, poet, and journalist, somewhat irreverent. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1921. And one of his favorite quotes is, "Until one has loved an animal, a part of one's soul remains unawakened." Right? If we can experience the breath of life of the divine in every creature, perhaps every creature deserves the reverence And respect is part of the divine. It's a circle. Right? Now, the alternative to anthropocentrism is biocentrism, which dictionary.com defines as the view or principle that all life forms have inherent value and significance, or should therefore be given serious consideration in determining the moral or ethical value of a course of action. Right? So we have to look at all life, not just our own perspective, in order to make a good decision. That would make sense if we're all part of the same life. Now, in Science of Mind, we believe that the same intelligence that created the stars, galaxies, and planets also created life here on planet Earth. All of life is part of the one life that is God, and in this way, biocentrism is aligned with Science of Mind. Now, in the glossary of the 1926 version of Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes talks about different levels of consciousness. He says, when spirit manifests in a purely mechanical way, we say it is unconscious life. When it manifests in the animal world, we speak of it as simple consciousness. When it manifests in and through man or woman, we say that it is self-conscious state. Like, I think, therefore I am, as Descartes would say. And as this self-conscious state of man or woman, their mentality reaches a larger world of realization and comprehends something of its unity with its whole, we say that it is a cosmic state. Thus we know of 4 different levels where spirit manifests: unconscious state, simple consciousness, self-consciousness, and cosmic consciousness. All are but different ways through which the one power operates. Just different levels of awareness. So life then is that quality of being running through which enables anything that is to be. It's that divine consciousness that is manifesting in and through this physical expression at different levels of awareness of who we truly are. And as humans evolve their consciousness, they learn what unity really means. They go from being just that simple consciousness of moving around and, they're walking, eating, whatever, speaking to someone, to realizing that I'm here, I exist, that I'm thinking, I have thoughts, I can respond, I can choose how I respond to what's going on in my world. In fact, I can create a new intention. I can change the pattern that's always been. And when we then connect with this greater level of being, that we are one with God, that we are a part of this life, we're not separate from anything else. That is that cosmic state of oneness, right? The cosmic consciousness, the Christ consciousness, as some call it. Now, Anthony Douglas Williams is a Canadian spiritualist, writer, and animal rights activist. He was born in 1953, so he's still alive. And he said, when I look into the eyes of an animal, I do not see an animal. I see a living being. I see a friend. I feel a soul. He also said, one day we will know that all animals have a soul. Hopefully this knowledge does not come when it's too late. Right? Now, there is an interdependence of humans and animals and insects. Now, yesterday, August 21st, was National Honeybee Day. And today's reading provided some perspective on why bees are important. From the bees' point of view, what was their purpose? Was it to protect the hive? Was it to gather food for their colony? To humans, the most important part of bees is that they produce honey to sweeten tea or bread, or baklava is my favorite, right? And then but from nature and spirit's purpose for the bees, it's as a pollinator, right? They pollinate the fruits and the flowers and the plants and all of life. According to the USDA, Department of Agriculture, beginning in 2006, honeybee colonies have been rapidly declining. From spring of 2020 to the spring of 2021, beekeepers lost 40% of their colonies. That's amazing. It takes them a lot. Each year they replace the colonies, but it takes a lot of work to create that many new colonies. I mean, naturally, there's more like 10 or 15% would die off in a year because of the queen ages or what have you. They have a life cycle. But 45%, 46% is a lot. And so the bees are being severely impacted by pesticides, by pests such as mites that can get into their colony. Loss of habitat is a big one. Inadequate nutrition, climate change. Beekeepers have been carefully modifying their bee management practices so they can replace the lost colonies, but it is a difficult process. Now, also according to the USDA, 80% of the 1,400 different cultivated crops that are grown around the world require pollination to reproduce, to have next year's crop, to have new seeds, or to produce the fruit, even if you're creating an orange on a tree or an almond. And 30% of all of the food, or 1 out of every 3 bites, requires pollination. And this is also true about the plants that provide beverages, medicines, condiments, spices, and even fabric. They all require pollination. Now, Michael and I have been continuing to watch the show The Green Planet on PBS, and we watched an episode called Human Worlds. And the narrator, David Attenborough, discussed the close relationship between humans and animals. He says, essentially, there's a bargain between people and the plants that we've chosen for our food crops. Now, in return for eating their seeds and fruit, you'd think maybe that wasn't so great for the plants, but in fact, the people respond by curing their illnesses, whatever it is. They poison their predators, the bugs that are eating them. They keep them well watered, and they eliminate their competitors by creating monocultures. Right? Now, here's a slide that shows in the Central Valley of California, that on the left is a picture of a large almond orchard. And the largest orchard in the world has 1 million acres of almonds. That's 140 million trees, each with 20 flowers per tree, for 2.8 trillion flowers in that one orchard. Now, the beekeepers, in order to pollinate all of those trees, they bring in 40 billion bees for this one orchard for just a few weeks when the trees are flowering, right? And so during that 2 weeks, the bees are very busy. They're visiting all of the blooms, and they can get to 1,000 blooms each day, each bee. But what do the bees do when the plants are through blooming? Now, the plants, about 2.5 trillion flowers are pollinated, and that's going to create 2.5 trillion almonds. So the trees are happy. The farmer's very happy. But what about the bees? Where do they go? Well, that's one reason that the beekeepers keep them in these little hives that they move from farm to farm, so they can continue having food for their bees to eat. But they're starting to think of what happens in nature, in the wild. How do bees survive? And so if you look on the right, you'll see that in between the trees, there's a strip of green. And the reason that strip is there is that it's planted with different types of ground cover that bloom. So there might be clover that's blooming, or maybe there's mustard plants that are there, and they bloom at different times. They choose a nice mixture. And so the bees, when they're through with the almonds, they can go feed with the mustard, or with the clover, or whatever plant that is there. So it gives them a longer season when they've actually got food, and it also gives them a wider variety of food and nectar. So it's much healthier for their colony. Another issue when we look at animals is about half of all the arable land on the earth is used for agriculture, right? So it's not in that wild state. 80% of the cultivated land is used to produce food for wildlife for livestock. It's not for the plants that we're going to eat as humans. It's for the livestock to eat so we can eat the livestock, right? Now, the plants can produce the same amount of protein with much less acreage, much more efficient. So if we switch to more plant-based protein, we could decrease the land that's needed for agriculture, and we could actually increase the amount of land worldwide that's available for natural habitat. Not only would that be good for the plants and the habitat, but that means all of these species of insects and animals that depend on that also get to increase. Excuse me. You know, some of the most intelligent mammals on Earth are whales and dolphins. In the wild, whales and dolphins, they often live in groups in tight family units that may last for years or a lifetime. And they can travel up to 100 miles a day, and as they search for food and they socialize, they play together. You've seen a pod of dolphins. And these intelligent animals normally spend only 10 or 20% of their time at the surface, and the rest of the time they're below and they're together. Understanding this, imagine the tragedy of a lifetime spent in a tiny swimming pool and aquarium all by yourself, or maybe with one other dolphin. Or, and so these social and perhaps conscious animals, they're often forced to live miserably in solitary confinement. Does any of you see the movie Free Willy? And so that was a great movie. It was really heartwarming, and about the boy and they wanted to get this caged animal and free and put him out in the wild. Now, what happened to Willie in real life is that he was eventually put out into the wild, but he wasn't prepared to survive there. He didn't know how to survive. He wasn't able to socialize. He didn't grow up with his family. He had been removed. And so even though they tried to help him adapt, eventually he passed away within less than a year or two after he was released. They've done the same thing. There was a lot of chimpanzees that have been raised with people, and because they're so intelligent, they've taught them to talk and with little sign symbols or sign language and things like that. But again, when they released them, there was an island somewhere in Africa where they had a group of chimpanzees that they were releasing them, and they would put them in a cage first and let them acclimate to the climate and acclimate to the types of foods that were there. And there was one woman that she went to drop them off, and she saw that not only was the chimp sad that she was leaving and not having the humans around, but she really didn't know how to survive in the wild. And so she spent almost 2 years there trying to teach the chimps how to eat. And they were getting along, and they started making friends with some of the wild chimpanzees that were there, and they would go out during the day, and they would come back to the safety of their cage. This was a big cage at night. And and so she knew that she had to leave eventually and let her favorite chimp survive on her own. And so it was with great trepidation she left. And she came back in a month, and the chimpanzee came to see her, and she was so glad. It was a great thing. She stayed for a few days, and then she left again. And when she came back the next time, she'd passed away. She didn't know how to survive. And she also trusted humans too much. So poachers had killed her. Right? So it's something where when we take them out of their natural environment, these animals, we have a responsibility. And it's kind of a catch-22. What is the most humane thing to do for them? Right? We have to be really careful of what our role is, what our relationship is with these precious creatures that are divine creations. So as we want to be committed to living in oneness and restoring and maintaining the natural habitat for all of God's creatures and living in harmony with nature. We want to work with the plants and animals to make the world a little greener, a little wilder. You know, the planet is awakening, and we are being called upon to raise our own consciousness. You know, if we're willing to make a change, we must be willing to face the facts and examine them with a willingness to understand and feel. And then we can take action where and how we're feel called. There was a former cattle farmer in Africa that decided he was going to change his farm back into a natural habitat because it was barren and a lot of erosion, all these things were going on. And it took 10 years. They had to clear all the non-natives there, replanted, they planted trees one by one from seedlings. They didn't do anything else, but within 10 years, the whole area was back into the natural habitat. It was covered with trees and all other kinds of plants. And the animals started moving back in, first the insects, and slowly bigger and bigger and bigger. And after 10 years, they had the first puma come and the first wolf, native wolf. So it can happen. This is something that's part of it. And so we have to decide what future we want. You know, there are many ways to make a difference. So decide in your life, what are you called to do? You can give love to the family pet, adopt an animal from a shelter, support animal and habitat conservation around the world, explore animal activism, adopt veganism, or just eat less meat, right? Be curious, educate yourself, and see how you are called to act. Let's take this to prayer. So as we go within, we know that there is one power, one presence, one life that is expressing itself in and through everyone and everything that is present on this planet and throughout the universe, the infinite universe. We see only what is right before our eyes with our human eyes. But with our spiritual eyes, we see the whole of the divine. We see the divine within each and every creature that is on this planet. We feel it in the species and the animals that we have yet to meet. And we feel that sense of oneness when we meditate and feel that cosmic consciousness of connection and feel that vibrancy of life everywhere present, the power and presence of God. And this is the truth of who we are. And so we allow ourselves to step up, to open our hearts and minds to see from this greater vision. And we listen. We take the time to be still and listen. What is ours to do? What are we called to do? What are we called to release? What are we called to embrace? How are we called to work together to lift up the expression of life on this planet to greater and higher levels of being, of expressing the oneness? And as we do, we feel that sense of healingness, of healing, of oneness, of stillness, of knowing that we are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right support, together with all of life, with all of spirit, and all of its wonderful forms. I am so grateful to know this truth, to experience it, to be a part of this healing of the planet in all ways. And I release this word knowing that it is already done. It is unfolding right here and right now. And together we say, and so it is. So I want to invite Rod back for one more wonderful song.
A dream that will need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, search high and low, follow every byway, every path you know. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your dream. When you walk through a storm, hold your head up high and don't be afraid of the dark. At the end of that storm is a golden sky and the sweet silver song of the lark. Walk on to the wind, walk on through the rain, though your dreams be tossed and blown. Walk on with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk alone. A dream never need all the love you can give. Every day of your life, for as long as you live, climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow, till you find your dream. Walk on, with hope in your heart, and you'll never walk alone. You'll never walk
Ooh,
Woo is right.
thank you, Rod.
Yes,
That's one
sir.
of my favorites. It's a big job we have, but we're not alone, right?
Yeah.
We have that inner guide that's always there. And so this is our prosperity time. And at CSL Tahoe-Truckee, we know that God is our infinite source, both for our center and for us as individuals. And your donations to our center are a way that allow us to continue our vision of embracing all and serving with love while awakening to the one. And our spiritual community provides opportunities for everyone to explore the many paths to God and to experience spiritual transformation, divine love, and wholeness. So we're grateful for your donations. If you would take your gift and hold it over your heart and repeat our prosperity affirmation with me. I gratefully and joyfully share my offering, which flows from God, my infinite source. My gift blesses the center and all who are guided, healed, and empowered by its activities. All I share with life returns to me blessed and multiplied.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And so we are grateful for these gifts that have been so generously and lovingly given, and we know that they are put to work to create more love, more spiritual growth and understanding and peace in our world. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, and so it is. All right. Well, I want to welcome our guests that are visiting us today, or if you're here online, and you can learn more about our center by signing up for our newsletter on the website, or check out all the things that are listed there. And also, I want to have quite a few thank yous today. I want to thank the Diana Metzets, who is doing the Zoom hosting, and she's assisted today by Adam, our new office administrator, and he fixed the lavalier microphone in the broadcast machine. Last week we had a buzz that you might have noticed on the recording, and so there was a loose connection, and he brought in a soldering iron, and it's all fixed. This is like years of hoping. So thank you, Adam. I want to thank our practitioner today, Carol Delbon. At the drum circle last week, we had 35 people here. It was facilitated by Jim Eaglesmith. It went really, really well. And I want to thank Rabbi Ivan Yakar from the North Tahoe Hebrew congregation, and Mary McEnany that participated. Also, we spent a couple of days this week going up to For Goodness Sake, because they are really closing their doors the end of this month. And so Adam and I picked up, Sage artists helped out too. So we picked out library books, about 10% of their the wonderful books that they have there. But they are now part of our new library here. And so come check it out and find something that you would like to check out and read. We also have a few other supplies that they really generously shared. I also want to thank the Adopt a Highway team that went out yesterday. So there was Michael Sundholm, got us started, and then Penny, Ocean, Nancy, Michael Brandman, and Adam were all there. So is that everybody? Yeah. So thank you very much. That's a great service. I understand there was an extra bunch of trash from all of the tourists, but so that's why we're there. And then finally, I want to thank everyone who's been organizing the barbecue that's happening today. Right after, service around by 12 o'clock, we'll be over at the North Tahoe Regional Park, and it's at the next to the playground. Okay, so it's not up at the big pagoda. It's down by the playgrounds, and that's good for the kids because they have plenty of places to go play. And so bring your potluck and come enjoy. So we'll be there from 12 to 5, and it should be a wonderful time to eat. We always like to eat and spend time with our wonderful CSL Tahoe-Truckee community. The if you like all of the announcements that we're going to have today, you can always find out what's going on our TahoeCSL.org website. Our weekly online newsletter has everything as well. Next Sunday, our service is going to be on August 28th. I think we have a slide for that. There we go. And we'll be in person and on Zoom. And we'll continue our August theme, or actually conclude it, Living Everyday Wonder Nature. The talk will be entitled Naturally Divine. I will be the speaker. The practitioner will be Michael Brandman. And our musician will be Tuck Wilson. Right? Now, the video recordings of our full Sunday service and the minister's talk, in abridged version, will be uploaded to our website and the YouTube channel on Monday. And so they're all caught up. Adam's been working on getting that caught up. We have the barbecue. We've talked about that, so we'll see you there soon. The CSL Tahoe-Truckee e-bikes group this week on Tuesday the 23rd. They're starting at 10 o'clock this week and meeting at Kilner Park and bicycling to Kilner, Meeks Bay. So bring a lunch to eat at Meeks Bay and have ice cream on return at the Tahoma Coffee Shop. All right. Okay. There's something new starting this week, and it's the Red Tent, a new monthly women's circle that is being facilitated by Jackie Price and Marika. Now, their first meeting is on Wednesday night, August 24th, from 6:30 to 8:30. It's a sharing circle and potluck dinner that's inclusive for women of all ages. And so it's an opportunity to share sisterhood in King's Beach at the Wellness Center this time. And so they're asking attendees to call in advance so they can confirm the location. And you'll see the number there on the screen. The Bible Mystery and Bible Meaning class started this week with Donna Axton. It's going to continue this Friday morning from 10:30 to 1 o'clock now. We just had too much to talk about. And it goes for 4 more weeks. And in the book, Bible Mystery and Bible Meaning, Thomas Troward describes the metaphysical interpretations of the Bible that provide clear meaning and allow us to apply it to our lives. And really, there is that secondary meaning that is there, that's that metaphysical interpretation, symbolic interpretation. Now, at the first class, we had 8 students, so it was a great class. Lots of ideas. All of us had our mind blown by some of the ideas that Troward is talking about. He has an amazing way of explaining something, big ahos. And Donna said that for the second week, if you still want to try and catch up, contact her or us in the office, and you'll be able to catch up and join us for the class. Okay, so for those of you who don't have an e-bike and still want to get out and go hiking at Tahoe, on next Saturday, August 27th at 9 a.m., we don't want the Sunday crowd, the East Shore Beach Trail hike will get started. And we're meeting, it's kind of north of, let's see. Anyway, it's a trail. So if you want to go, call Sue Pipel or the office, and we'll make sure that you get to the right spot. We'll be putting out a Google location so you can find it. All right. But it should be a great time. It's a beautiful, as you know, the east shore of Lake Tahoe is just gorgeous, and it'll be a wonderful walk. Adopt a Highway. The next one is going to be not on the third Sunday, but it's going to be on Saturday the 10th or the 11th. Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah. I think there's something else that might be occurring at 9, but anyway, we'll check it out. Anyway, we'll stay tuned for future notices, but that's a few weeks away. We'll check that out. And then another thing happening in September, on September 17th and 18th, so Saturday night at 7, Anton Mizrak and Laura Berryhill will be performing their transformational healing music concert They are both skilled in many different types of instruments and religions of the world in their degrees, and so it's going to be amazing with a love donation of $15 to $20. And then the next morning, they're going to be our speaker and musician, and they have a wonderful story that they've put together that pulls all of this together. So that should not be missed. And then, very importantly, we have our Surrender of Serenity. The Serenity of Retender. We have to fix this. It's the Serenity of Surrender Retreat, and the September 23rd through the 25th. And Eugene Holden, religious science practitioner, will be the facilitator. He was the director of the Middle Ministry of Prayer for 10 years, and he writes the column of the personal affirmations in the Science of Mind magazine every month. And then the wonderful Gary Lynn Floyd will be providing inspiration with music and in his own spiritual enlightenment that we'll all be sharing. Now, importantly, the early bird deadline is now August 31st, so make sure that if you want to get that discount, make sure you get paid by then. The registration closes September 8th, which is 2 weeks before the retreat. So Ananda would like to get paid early so they can have everything ready for us. So make sure you pay now if you want to go. Okay, and then next, we have our ongoing classes. So we've got the Sunday celebration. Then Thursday, we have Tai Chi at 3:30, meditation. Following that, 4:30 to 5, the meditation with Mary McEnany. And Friday, the Course of Love at 6:30. Those are all drop-in love offering type places. So you don't need to prepare, just show up and be ready to be enlightened. All right. For our children, we want to welcome and bless our children. So if you would read along with me. We see you, we hear you, we love you. You are a gift from God, and so it is. And we'll see you at the barbecue. All right. And then we have our practitioners. I always want to introduce our practitioners because they're such an important part of our center, or really the heart of our center. And so our practitioner of the day was Carol Delbon. She may still be with us online. And here in the center we have Nancy O'Neill, Michael Brandman is here. I'm also a practitioner, so if you need prayer, just ask and we'll be glad to pray with you. So before we go off to the barbecue, we're going to have our closing song and our affirmation. So if we would form our circle. Okay.
You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world. You are the heart, you are the hands, you are the voice of spirit on earth, and who you are and all you do is a blessing to the world.
All right, so our affirmation. I embrace all of life, including the fuzzy, furry, and tiny. And so it is.
You're so cold. Feels good.
Isn't that cool?
Hot.